So the one thing I'm learning a lot is these hyperlapses suck your battery. And it all depends on the types of setting you're at. Man, you can only really get, you know, one full hyperlapse, maybe two per battery. It just depends on how long you're shooting. Plus, if you're shooting in RAW, JPEG, video, it all kind of adds up. So this video is gonna be in multiple parts. Here's a few samples from the DJI website of some amazing hyperlapse videos. In this video, I just want to show you how to set the duration, set your intervals, and of course show you a couple samples I was able to take using hyperlapse. All right guys, so I'm here at the Silent Electric Flyers Club here in San Diego, California. This is actually right next to SeaWorld. So I'm going to be testing out the new hyperlapse mode. Now this is a new feature that's being offered. Now I know hyperlapse was something that was a lot of people did before, but they would use just the smart captures or smart modes to do it. And then of course do interval time shooting and then stitch those together in, you know, Premiere, Final Cut, or whatever post processor you want. But now DJI has included a hyperlapse function on the app. So all you have to do is click on the remote icon on the left, and now there's a little clock icon here which is hyperlapse. Click on that icon, and down below you'll see there's a few different hyperlapse options or different ways for you to shoot. The first one's free, second one is circle, then there's course lock and waypoint. Now free lets you actually control the drone manually, so you're able to fly it at whatever pace you want to, and what will happen is it'll automatically take, depending on what you set as far as your interval time, it'll just continuously take photos along that way. With circle, you're able to now draw a circle around a subject, and same thing, determine how many shots you want, how long of a time lapse or hyperlapse you want, and it'll calculate all that for you. Course lock lets you select a point on your map and lock to it. So what you'll do is click course lock, and it'll actually fly to that point and take interval shots as well. And you're able to even adjust height while you're doing it, but it'll lock onto a specific point. So if you wanted to make any adjustments while you're flying, you're able to do that as well. Waypoint I think is my favorite because you actually get to fly to an area, mark a point, fly to a second area, make another point, fly to another area, make another point, and do a hyperlapse that way, and the drone will actually automatically fly in those 3 or 4 spots that you designate and do a hyperlapse from there. So I think from the ones I tested, those were my favorite ones. But just to give you a quick demo of them, let's take this up in the air and do some demos of the new hyperlapse feature in the DJI GO 4 app.
Take off.
All right, so now that we're up in the air, the first thing you want to do is click on the remote icon on the left, and then you're of course going to click on the hyperlapse icon right there at the top left. And once you get here, we're going to go into free mode, which is the first one there on the bottom left. Now, when we talk about duration, frames, interval, and video length, the interval is basically how fast you want to take photos. So right now my intervals are going to be taking photos at every 2 seconds. You can change this, of course, from every 2 seconds to every 3, all the way up to 30 seconds. But it's letting you know, their DJI app is letting you know that at 30 seconds, you're not going to have enough battery to complete that task. So what I'm going to do is just bring it back down to 2 seconds and do every 2 seconds I'll be taking a photo. So next is video length. Now this is how long is your video going to be at the end of this hyperlapse. So right here we have it set at 5 seconds, which means it's going to take 125 photos in order to make a 5-second hyperlapse video. You can change that all the way up, or you can bring it down to a 2-second video. It's really up to you. Once you determine how long you want your end video to be, all you do is hit go and it will begin taking photos. So when you're in free mode, you're basically able to do, you know, kind of whatever you want to do as far as gimbal orientation, angles, height, you know, forward, backwards, left or right. You're not locking into a specific subject or anything like that. You're just kind of freely using the controllers to move things around. So in this video, I'm just kind of free flying. The one thing you can't control is the speed. So even if you're full throttle forward or full throttle back or left or right, it's still going to go at a very, very slow pace. So you're not able to change the speed, but you are able to change angles and orientation. So as you can see, of course, I'm just speeding up the footage here so you're not sitting through the real time of the hyperlapse. But I'm just free flying at this point. And the one thing that the app did, which was really nice, is about 2/3 of the way through your hyperlapse, it'll actually give you a warning.
Shooting is nearing completion.
And this just lets you know that, hey, you're coming up towards the end of your hyperlapse. So it just brings a little bit more attention back to your controller. Now we're just wrapping up the hyperlapse here. 125 frames is going to give us 5 seconds total. So now that we get to the end of the hyperlapse as far as frames go, it will automatically stop the recording and then it'll start rendering out that video. Once it's done rendering, you just have to go to the library and click on it and it'll automatically download to your device for instant sharing. Now this is just my first time playing with free mode and I was just testing out angles and playing around with it, but this is the footage that came out of that hyperlapse. Alright, so let's get into circle mode. Now, for intervals and video length, that actually works the same for all of the hyperlapses. The difference here with circle is you're able to switch from counterclockwise to clockwise. Just depends on which direction you want that circle to go into. So now all I'm doing right now is just finding something to do a hyperlapse around. So actually there's a little bush right here next to the water. I'm going to see if we can actually map out this bush. And just like point of interest, what it does is it determines the distance away from that object and it's calculating that right now. Once that measurement's done, now it knows its radius and it'll begin the hyperlapse. Very similar how point of interest is. So it'll begin that hyperlapse now. In the direction I put in, which is counterclockwise, and as you can see here, it's just going to start taking those photos. I did 5 seconds again, so it's going to go through and take 125 photos in order for it to compile a 5-second hyperlapse video. And I'm just going to fast forward it again. It's going to be a 5-second hyperlapse video. As you can see, it's just kind of maneuvering and circling around that bush right here. And once it's all done, same thing. You can render it out, share it, and also view the 5-second video right here. Now, one of the things I saw here when I rendered the video and when I downloaded it to my device, it rendered an output of 1080p at 25 frames a second, as you can see right here. I wasn't sure, and I still haven't found where I'm able to change that output, if I'm able to do it at 4K or 2.7 or 1080 at 30, anything like that. So there might be a software update to come out to maybe change some of those settings as far as output for video. Now, one of the reasons why I believe that they kept it small at 1080 at 25 frames a second is so that you have something small to download to your device for you to share. So I wanted to make sure that you're also able to save out all of your raw photos and your JPEG. So in order to do that, you hit on the settings icon right here, and then also on the very top right, you click on that little gear icon. And then what you want to do is scroll down. And I found this out, and you're able to save out the originals. So there's a save original button right here. Click on that one, and now you're able to save out the original JPEGs and the original RAW files from your hyperlapse and also from your panoramic photos. The one big benefit from this, if you have the raw files, is that you're able to now bring those raw files back into something like Lightroom, make all of your color adjustments, your post-processing, and then re-export those back out. Then when you re-export that whole sequence out, those 125 frames that you took that are also now color corrected, you could bring all those back into any one of your video editing programs like Final Cut or Premiere, and then make your own hyperlapse or make your own time lapse at whatever frames per second you need it to be at. So the next hyperlapse we have is course lock. So all you have to do when you are in course lock is pick a direction you want to fly into. Once you pick that direction, you just hit the arrow up, and then it'll lock your course and it'll lock in that direction. Once you do that, it'll automatically start taking photos and start moving forward. The one thing with course lock is you can actually change the orientation of the drone while it's flying. I didn't do that. I just wanted to try to get a basic one going straight towards the sunset. I was actually a little bit late, but for the sake of the demo, I just wanted to see and test out course lock and see exactly how a 10-second hyperlapse would look. after that video was done, this is the result I got from that. It was a little bit late, like I said, but the idea was there. And next time I go out, I'll probably try to change orientation and change the direction of the camera. Now the last hyperlapse we have is waypoint. Now waypoint is a way for you to specify up to 5 different locations up in the air. You can change location, you can change the gimbal angle, you could change the camera angle, orientation of a drone. So the first thing you want to do is just get to that very first location that you want to start your waypoints from. So I'm just kind of doing a little survey around here, seeing what I like. And once you get to that very first waypoint area, you want to make sure that all of your settings are correct. So you want to change your ISO, aperture, get it your shutter speed to exactly where you want it to be. Once that's all set, then we're going to go into the hyperlapse waypoint mode. Click on that. It'll pop up with a little demo. Hit OK. Now the first thing you want to do is set that initial angle and that initial point. So you're going to hit that plus button, and that will now save that first location as far as a first waypoint location. What you want to do now is fly to the next area. You can change your height, you could change the angle, and once you get to that second location, you're going to add another waypoint. Click on that plus icon. Now it adds another one there. And then of course you could do this up to 5 times. I'm only going to do it 3 times, so I'm just going to pick one more area here. Just fly a little forward, point it down a little bit. Once I get to that area, then I'm going to hit the plus icon again and then hit go. Once you hit go, the drone will actually now fly back to waypoint number 1. So I'm not controlling anything at this point. The drone is actually going back. It's going to fly all the way back to waypoint number 1. It's going to turn. It memorizes everything as far as location, the camera angle, and once it gets there, it's now, of course, going to start doing the hyperlapse photos, and it'll start doing those photos based on the waypoints that I set. So here we go. We're just going to fast forward this one again, and once we get to that 125 mark or 125 frames, it's of course going to do the same thing, synthesize the video. From this one, I'm not going to download it, but it's just going to process it in the background, and I'm not going to download this one. But what I noticed in the bottom right is the map, and what's really nice about the map is that if you click on the map, you're able to now see exactly those waypoints that you set. So you can see the 3 areas there, the 3 waypoints. There's 1, 2, and 3. It actually shows you the home, where your home is. So it shows you exactly the path that it took. And it also shows you the direct path home if you wanted to come back home. After that, here is the quick 5 seconds waypoint hyperlapse that I got. So here's a little bonus one that I figured out while I was doing the free mode on hyperlapse. I wanted to try just getting a top-down shot of the lineup here in Del Mar, and I wanted to go all the way across the beach and videotape that lineup, but do a hyperlapse all the way across. So as I started doing it, and I, put my controller left, this thing came up, which was press C1 or C2 to maintain aircraft direction and enter cruise control. So I didn't know what that was, and then when I hit C1, now next thing you know, I let off of my sticks, and it just pretty much went in the exact direction. At the same speed, at the same angle that I was anticipating doing anyways, but it did it automatically in an automatic cruise control mode. So super cool that they offered that in there. So this was able to, I was able to use this while I was in free mode in hyperlapse. I went in a direction. I'm not sure if I can do like the camera angle too, but it went into cruise control mode and it automatically did that angle and did that path for me automatically all the way up to 125 frames, which I set. So that's about it, guys. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys got some value. I wanted to take you kind of in the cockpit, first-hand look of what is happening when you engage hyperlapse, what is going on, and some things that I've learned along the way. If you guys got value, of course, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell to be notified when I post new videos. This is Ultra Nastasio with FlytPath.com. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.